Just a question between or about an actual marketing strategy. It's just, in your own experience, how long can it take to decide when a strategy is benefiting and paying back to that you can't see any return, that you're spending money, you're using your resources and time and money, and can you identify a lag time? Do you know going into it, okay, this should take a few months, this could take a year? Like you said, educating people.
It's as long as a piece of string, it really is, because it depends on the product, it depends on the market, it depends on the company and where the company is in its development. So if you're starting from scratch, and you're starting with a new product, and you're trying to break into a market that nobody's ever broken in before, it can take quite a while. I mean, looking at Andor's an example, and that is, and still is, the most sensitive camera in the world. I mean, the product itself was second to none in terms of technology, but in terms of breaking into that market and letting people know why they were paying $35,000 for a camera, it was important that they understood the technology behind that and the difference it was making. It wasn't just a marketing slogan, the most sensitive camera in the world. It was important to build that up, so that did take about 18 months. But you can do things very quickly at the same time. It depends how quickly and how much of the need you're addressing. If it's something that hasn't happened before in the market, and again, a lot of consumer brands, you'll see it happening a lot quicker. A lot of B2B brands tend to be a long burn. And a good example is business solutions. So the lead time for a sale in business is usually about 12 months, because people want to see a pilot of the system, they want to run it, they want to be sure that it's working. They'll take it through maybe 6 or 12 months of the pilot before then deciding they want to buy the full enterprise version of the system. So it's a hard question to answer.
How do you put right at the top of your list, know your customer? How do you know your customer? How do you get to know them?
Well, first of all, it's being out and meeting them and talking to them. You have to get on a plane, you have to go to trade shows, you have to go and network with people. You have to sit down and look at your customer in the eye or your prospect in the eye and really take an honest look and say, is this meeting what the customer needs? If it doesn't, it's important to listen to the customer. The customer will tell you what you need to do to your product or service, that you can develop that. Rather than just sort of giving up and walking away, you have to be fairly nimble. So there's all sorts of other methods. I mean, there's researching, you can do online surveys, you can, from blogs and from social networking, you get all sorts of feedback in terms of your product and service and quality, but nothing beats the one-to-one talking to customers and understanding what they want. And not just customers, prospects or people in your market, competitors, thought leaders in the industry. It's important to understand what you're offering meets the need of the customer or your customer base.
And how did you do it in one of those case studies you were talking about?
Well, we talked about Andor technology, so we talked about EMCCD technology. We looked around the scientific world at the areas that would benefit. So it really covered the sort of broad spectrum of physics, chemistry, biology, astronomy, and we looked for key thought leaders in those areas. So guys that were winning Nobel Prizes or guys that were publishing papers were in heavy demand. And we approached those guys and said, look, would you take one of our cameras, we'll give you a really good deal on it, and in return for that, can you give us some of the data that you're pulling back, and also can you develop papers or write papers that endorses the product? And they were our best sales guys at the end of the day. So a guy stands up at a symposium and says, I discovered a cure for cancer and I used an Andor camera. People in the audience went, right, well, if it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me, and we just got orders as a result of that. It was really just a case of closing the order. So it's incredibly important to get key influencers and thought leaders on your side, because they will help shape and develop the product. Not only did they sell cameras, but they also fed back into the features and benefits that they needed for their particular area of science. So they were giving technical feedback on the performance of the camera and how to optimize the camera for their particular needs. So our product development team benefited hugely from that.
Now, for a startup, which of all these things can they do first?
Well, I mean, it depends where you are in terms of startup. If you're starting with a blank sheet of paper, you have to do a lot of work first. You have to have a product or a service already in prototype to start benefiting from these things. But in terms of gathering, identifying who your customers are, in terms of starting to research who they are, in terms of understanding what the key thought leaders, key influences are in your industry. And I'm thinking more on the B2B side of things. That's primarily my experiences. These are the guys that are going to shape your product and shape your industry. So it's important, I would say that's the best place to start. Once you start coming into areas like trade shows or advertising, it gets very expensive, and usually the money isn't there from the startup at that point to start doing it. It takes some sort of venture capital or building some sort of revenue base before you can get into some of the more expensive side of things. But developing blogs, developing a website is relatively cheap these days, and that all helps to build your value proposition or your client or your customer value proposition.